discussion. Audio. Hello. Let's see. I don't like the way this new audio thing works. Like, it's hard to tell if it's even functioning or not. And I might have it doubly audioed based on this one too. I don't know. We're good. There we go. That way. Boop. Chill out for now. I'll use that one to look at dynographs and shit like that here in a little while. All right, so I am on an 04 STI here. I'm trying to get the idle good and stable. Looks pretty good. And you see the purple line there and the green line. That is a pretty stable idle. What's crazy about this car is that it doesn't sound stable. I think because those mufflers are so quiet, like you hear every little thing in the engine when the windows are down, and it sounds like it's hunting a little bit, but like that is more stable than most cars ever idle. Manifold pressure is rock steady. You see bottom left here, TP, that's the throttle body. That's rock steady. Ignition timing is going up and down a smidge, and that's just an attempt to correct idle based on the error. Producing an idle that's pretty freaking steady. Like, everything is really close to being steady. At this point, any oscillations are going to be likely caused by small fueling imbalances and things like that from having kind of big injectors in the car. If you had two sets of 1050s, I think the idle would be even better, because a nice 1050 is really good for idle control. I got the oil pressure working now in car. It wasn't working before. We also changed the mufflers on this car. He's got some ridiculous exhaust setup. That's right, Damon, I said ridiculous. With like tons of resonators and mufflers all over the damn thing. And before, when I was tuning it on the dyno a month or so ago, the EMAP was really high. I was noticing while I was tuning it that the EMAP was really high. That's exhaust manifold absolute pressure. So basically the pressure pre-turbo was really high, and it was a lot higher than I've seen on the 7670 ever. And so that's either boost leak, turbo problem, or restriction. And judging by the fact that, like I said, he's got some crazy bunch of mufflers and stuff on it, the obvious answer is that it's probably a restriction from the mufflers. So he called the manufacturer of the muffler, and they were like, yeah, dude, these mufflers don't flow very well. You know, a couple hundred horsepower each, that's about it. So he bought other mufflers, which appeared to be slightly less restrictive. I looked in them. Looks like they have a little less back pressure than the ones he has. But it could be a lot, and we won't know that until I do some polls and see where the EMAP crosses the boost threshold. Before, it was really low, like 3,600 RPM or something like that. And I'd like to see it up higher in the like 4,500 RPM area. That would be a significant improvement. So. I'm just looking at the stuff here, including the stream, seeing that that's running correctly. So right here you see there's a little variance on the right side. I got the air mass final, map air mass, and then TMF air mass. And so that's throttle mass flow. That's a calculation of mass airflow into the engine over the throttle blade. It's not the most accurate, but it's got some advantages to it. One of them is response time. By moving the throttle is what results, or what causes a change in air pressure. And the map sensor lags a little bit behind throttle position, and manifold pressure lags behind throttle position a little bit. You got to think about it. Air's got inertia. Air has to make its way into the manifold. It has to replenish what's missing. So having it on the throttle blade means that quick transients like I just did, we have more accurate fuel during that transient. We rely less on the typical asynchronous and synchronous tip and enrichment strategies, less of the tau fueling strategies with the TMAF on it, which is pretty cool. We still have to have some, because when we change the position of the throttle, we still will alter the size of the puddle on the port walls, but we rely on it less when we have this, so it's pretty cool. Like, quick throttle and air fuels are pretty close. You can watch a little bit. Actually, that one was really good. Tell that out. Air fuels on the lower right, lambda. You see lambda 1, lambda 2. This has got 2 sensors in it. It's got a full race, twin scroll, equal length header, and we put another wideband in the other runner. So we have 2 widebands in it, both pre-turbo, and then we also have the pressure, the exhaust manifold pressure, to compensate for pressure, but also to record pressure, which is important so we know what's going on with the engine. So you see right now my fuel trims are pretty darn close. I got 4 to 5% on one bank and 3 to 4% on the other. And some of that discrepancy bank to bank will be the cylinder to cylinder fueling I made adjustments on to try and equal out the EGTs, because this also has 4-channel EGT. And so I had EGTs up and I was adjusting the fueling to try and get the EGTs a little closer. What did I do with those? Where did I put those? Trims? Wait, where'd it go? Oh, that's weird. It like disappeared on me. Must have not saved my profile. Okay, so we're in fuel right now. So in fuel, you see we got trims, main, starting, compensations. Maybe it was there and I missed it. Did I miss it? Compensation, this is where it used to be. It's not there anymore. Alright, so we're going to adjust that. I'm going to come in here, hit configure tabs, go to fuel, go to compensations. I'm going to add some perimeters to it. I go EGT. mentioned fueling, but each scroll is a combination of one cylinder from each bank. No, it's twin scroll. So I have the front cylinders and the back cylinders. They're together. So the front 2 cylinders and back 2 cylinders are tied together. On the cold side, but they're pretty close. Shit, I forgot the computer, the keyboard. This thing's got some bigger tires on it, taller than the 04 STI came with, but I think it's also got an 07 box in it, if I recall correctly. So all my ratios are all whack. Speaking of which, I should probably verify I have that working right now. I don't know if I set it up or not. Alright, where's gears? I want to see it. Okay, so it thinks I'm in 3rd right now. Now it thinks I'm in 5th. Alright, so I gotta adjust that. It's so hot in here, god damn it. can't see is I opened up a window, and the window is the runtime values. So if I set this just a little higher than the value for the calculation, then it will properly read the gears that I'm in. Oopsie. Change the banks, you change what the O2 sensor is assigned to. Alright. This has external gates. The turbo was originally a single scroll, internal gate, and we made it external gate. So if we go to configure, channels, input, go to engine, lambda 1. Oops, that's not the right one. It's not there, it's in functions. Functions, output, closed loop lambda control, lambda 1 and lambda 2. And then we go, make sure that those are set. And then you go tuning. Band, lambda cylinder setup right here. So you see here, cylinder 1 is lambda 1, cylinder 2 is lambda 1, cylinder 3 is lambda 2, cylinder 4 is lambda 2. So that's right there. That's how you set them up. Alright, it's about time to do a poll. As requested by Going Skits. We're going to do a poll here and see what's up. First off, we are in. So this has got what you don't know is it has modes. We can select what power mode we're in. So right now, if I go to one of my screens here, show you. Turn the camera around. All the options for the screens on this thing. Pretty cool stuff, different channels and everything. But what we do is we can instead click on the gear, and there we go. These are our maps. This is for trash control, launch control, flat foot shifting, onboard logger, all of that built into it. So they go to here to 1, and this is set up for SI drive. This car doesn't have SI drive. Oh, what happened with that? What the hell? Huh. That's weird. That changed itself. It used to be on the axis for the can. That's fucking bizarre. Here? Nope. That sucks. Well, that's a bummer. So I gotta take this and change this. And that is volts. Shit, I don't even fucking remember now. I gotta go to the can setup. Oh, you bastard. Alright. Indications, CAN bus. Channel 1, predefined set. Okay, that's the one. Dataset 1. Custom dataset 1. There it is, this one. Custom dataset 1. There it is. So if you look here, see CAN volt 1, this is the voltage that is seen at that button. So if I hit the up, you'll see that voltage go up. Half-fold increments. When I go down, it goes down. Like that. So that can be used for our cal slot. But it can also be used for our boost control, and it should have worked. It should have changed it. Boost control. Boost control target table control. It's on a z-axis. And it's supposed to be, oh, it's ethanol content. That's that one. Target offset user 1 right here. So the target offset is in kPa. So as we add boost based on ethanol, we can add boost with the controller here. So boost target's not working on the display, it looks like. Let's see. Because I have a boost target here. Yeah, so that works. So I have to set, I got to adjust the output, the transmit, to display boost target correctly. For some reason that's not working. So anyways, I can use this to adjust boost in 5 kPa increments, or I can change it to be wherever I want it to be, which is pretty cool. And so you see the target changes based on that. Alright, enough of that. Let's do a poll. Wow, this app is so bad sometimes. Okay. This is the internal wastegate housing, so I think they're smaller. I think it's like a 9 something internal housing. turbo outlet pipe is scorching. Holy cheese balls. I touched that. That was a mistake. Alright, now we're going to pull. Oh, that is set way too low. Holy shit, 25. Zip tie, that hose came off again. Alright, that should stay on this time. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. A little post-start oscillation I could clean up, work on it a little bit. Timing, you'll see here, ridiculously conservative here. I got 11 degrees right here at 20 something pounds of boost here. So I wouldn't say ridiculous, but still pretty conservative. And 18 at red line. So not very aggressive on the timing. Let's go to boost. Actually, let's look at AF correction. AF correction, we got more correction on the left side than we do on the right side, left side, on the number 2 side than we do on number 1. much. So I can make some slight corrections to per cylinder fueling up in that region. So we got that. Let's go to boost here. Here's power and torque. That looks pretty similar to the curve on the dyno. Let's go to boost. So here's boost. The question is how is our exhaust manifold pressure? That's better. That's better than before, for sure. Oops, I hate when I do that. Was it M? I forget the hotkey for that. What is the undo zoom? W. That's what it was. Alright, so we got the boost pressure of 222 and manifold pressure to 217. Now they're the same. Here we go. So now we're starting here. So we're crossing out 4,300 at 231 kPa. Okay, that's a little more reasonable. That's more of what I would expect at our current elevation. I'm pretty certain it was much worse than that before. I think it was like many hundreds of RPM sooner and at a lower boost pressure. So let's see. I think I could find that actually. It's at now. I'm trying to find my email to him, but it doesn't seem to be here, unless it's hidden in another email chain somewhere. I took a picture of it and I sent it to him, but whatever, it's not that important. The thing that I know is that it is better than it was, so that's good. That's good. All right, adjust the dyno really quick. Well, I don't know who fucked with this dyno, but they did not set it up right. AC back on because it's hot as balls in here. I got the timing way conservative for 40%. Alright. That'll raise power up if I adjust that for sure. Wow. Power curve looks real nice. Let me show it to you. It's a nice curve. It's a little inflated because the heat in the dyno cells is adding a bunch of correction to it. So it's a little high power-wise. I don't think it's actually that much. It's probably closer to like 430 right now. But it's still a nice looking curve. It's a great curve. Timing corrections at idle. Alright, so what I just did is I added a trim based on the air conditioner. So if the air conditioner's on, I had to add 1.2 degrees. Just a little bit of timing to help raise engine torque right before the AC compressor kicks on. So I'm going to turn it off here. No AC compressor right now. I was pretty steady, and I'm going to turn it on. And RPM stayed pretty good. There was a tiny bit of flare on it, but you see right here, ignition comp table 1, I think that's the one right there. Turn it off again. Right there. I think it's a 0. Do it again. Boop. Clutch kicks on, engine torque goes up, and we catch the AC. Actually, it's quite good there. Now, I'm clean. What is this one? User comp. That's actually backwards, right? Because this is ignition comp 1, but I'm on user 1 comp percent. Oh, that's percent. Oh, that's fuel. Okay. So there we go. Ignition comp 1.2. All right. That's weird though, because technically that one is a user comp table, but the name's just kind of, it should say user in there. All right, my battery is almost dead. Is it really almost dead? %. No, it is not almost dead. Okay. Let's go at that log. Let's go back to boost. So boost was really nice. Boost target is this white line right by my cursor, and boost actual is this blue line. That's manifold pressure, and the other line. They're both, well, based on atmospheric pressure differences. So one of them is absolute, one of them is a corrected absolute. Right, you see that small difference right there. So we can see here that I could not hit that boost target. Wastegate duty cycle was climbing in that region too. It climbed all the way up to 75%. And even at 75%, we could not hit that boost target. So that tells me two things. One, well, it tells me two possible things. Either A, I have too much cam overlap and I can't hold boost. Or two, the turbo's out of fucking power. Now, look at that horsepower graph that I got. It's probably the turbo's out of flow. Really, that's pretty maxed out. Obviously, I can go more than 77%. But if you look, this duty cycle on the left here is climbing rapidly. It's really climbing fast to try and hit that target. And you'll see that the exhaust pressure is going up quite a bit. Here it is 365, and the boost pressure is only 231. So we're really adding a lot of back pressure trying to make boost on this thing, and it's just not quite doing it. And I'm not convinced another 20% is gonna. What are you doing? I'm not convinced another 20% is gonna make a difference in hitting that boost target with this fast. You see that ramp coming up, right? If the system is responding to my request, right? My request is add boost. If you respond to my request, as that goes up, I should see an increase in boost that coincides with that. But instead, it's not really increasing. It's not even holding. It's still decaying. And when you consider that at peak boost, if you look right here-ish, the duty cycle is basically 52.5. And I add almost 20% to it, and the boost is declining. So that tells me I probably am just out of turbo. But let's look at the overlap on the cams and see where we're at. So I don't have the intake cam zero out ever on here, which means I still have overlap. So I should zero out my cam in this region without touching wastegate duty and see how much the boost goes up, or see if the wastegate duty drops. So we're going to do that, because that's the logical step here. So here's cam control. We're going to go to our target table 1. You'll see I don't have it ever go to 0 yet. So we're going to zero this thing out by 7. We're just going to zero it out here. And then I'm going to just blend it right here to 55. Nothing too crazy, just a little quick blend. And then we'll see if it was indeed too much overlap. Then what we're going to see on the next log is that this exhaust pressure potentially should drop. If it stays the same, that's still okay. But this boost pressure should go up because we're reducing overlaps, we're bleeding less of the pressure into the engine. Now, there's another side to this that I need to discuss with you real quick. Boost pressure is really high right there. With the boost pressure being that high, that means we're retaining a lot of exhaust gas in the cylinder. And with there being overlap, that means they were potentially pushing a little bit of exhaust gas into the intake even. Not likely with the amount of inertia that this airflow has, but if it was going really slow, we would. But what that means is that if I reduce the overlap and I reduce how much exhaust gas is retained in the cylinder, then it's possible manifold pressure drops because now I have more available space in the engine for fresher air to come in. If you think about it, when that intake or when the exhaust valve shuts, I have a bulk of exhaust gas sitting in the chamber, right? So I have exhaust gas in the chamber, potentially some even in the port. And that pressure is really high. Like we're seeing here, it's 300 something at the exhaust port in the header, which means it's higher than that in the cylinder because I got to push that out of the cylinder into the exhaust through a restrictive valve. So that means cylinder pressure of exhaust, the pressure of the retained exhaust in the cylinder is higher than what I'm seeing in the header there. So now I have that high pressure exhaust gas in there, and as the piston moves down, the pressure is going to drop. The intake valve is going to open, and I have 200 kPa on this side of a valve and 300 kPa on this side of a valve. How much fresh charge am I going to get in the cylinder? Not very much, right? Because I got all this exhaust gas that's high pressure. I got to wait until the piston drops enough that this pressure drops enough that I can actually get air in the cylinder. So if I reduce overlap and I reduce the amount of total retained exhaust gas, I could potentially fill the cylinder with more fresh air charge. And as such, my manifold pressure might actually drop for the same amount of work on the of the turbine right now, because now I'm not just spinning against a lower flowing manifold. Now, if that pressure drops sooner, then I'm actually raising my airflow into the engine, and so the manifold pressure might drop. We might actually lose boost but pick up horsepower here. Which one is it going to be? It depends. It depends on what the dominant factor is. So we're going to find out. So we might actually lose boost but pick up power, and that would be really cool, right? Got some pops going on in the suspension of this thing. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, cams went from 10 down to 0-ish, right? We got 0 here up top. Go back to boost. Boost, we still have 360 in the exhaust manifold and still have 230 kPa on the intake. Interesting. And the wastegate duty cycle is still 70 something, so almost nothing changed. What happened to power though? did affects that area, that's just going to be heat. Because on that last pole, before this last one, we did 2 poles kind of close together. So I do another pole now, it'll be, spool will come in faster in that region. It'll be the same or better. All right, question, is that a non-CAN bus car? Yes, this car is non-CAN bus. There's no factory CAN bus stuff in this car. Not that we're accessing anyways. The CAN that we're using is to the BTI gauge, to the on one channel, and to the EGT system. This has the EMtron ETC4, which is a 4-channel thermocouple expansion. So E expansion, TC thermocouple, right? So it's and then four channels. So it is a 4-channel thermocouple expansion box that reports the values via CAN to the EMtron. So that's the CAN that we're using, and then again the other one is for the BTI screen here. Now he has these Pro Sport gauges that aren't good for anything anymore, and so I think I'm going to talk him or ask him if he wants to buy 2 more of the BTI little gauges that'll go right there in those positions, and they'll display all kinds of information. You can daisy chain them right to the back of this one. You just daisy chain it in, and he'll have static displays here. So instead, on the small gauge, he can have his status screen up with all his adjustments that he wants to make, and then he can have real-time data on here. He can have one just display AFR, or one display AFR, target AFR, and then the other one displays boost. Or you can have it display 12 parameters at once in little tiny font, that kind of stuff. So if we BTI'd the inside of this car and put those 2 gauges in his little pod here on the dash, show you what I'm looking at here. How that is really zoomed in. That gauge, that Pro Sport, that's oil pressure. We're no longer using that because we have oil pressure on the BTI or on the EMtron, and then that's the exhaust EGT. We're no longer using that either because we're feeding that also into the BTI system, into the EMtron via CAN to the BTI system here. I don't know if this one displays at EGT or not. I didn't look. I really dig that screen back there. I really dig this one. Both AFR channels, and then boost pressure up here. I think that's a really cool screen. It's pretty handy. This was just regular temperatures. AFR on the left, target AFR below it, coolant temp below that, IAT here, peak boost, current boost, and ethanol concentration. Oh, gear's not. Does gear work on that? I don't know. Let's find out. Yep, look at that. Even gear works. Well, that's exciting. I like when things work. Does it say 4? Oh, okay, went to 0. Filtering that oil pressure gauge, I think. That moves around a lot. Let's see if I can filter that. Go to configure, go to channels, go to input, go to engine, and then go down to oil pressure. It's got filter 12 on it. That's a pretty good filter. I'm just going to bump it up a smidge and to see what happens. Help some. Not bounce around quite as much. drop in. Horsepower is falling off pretty hard. It's not falling off. It's leveling off, I should say. Falling off would be an exaggeration. And I'm going to add a little timing up top. Let me go check my Z-axis, how I have it set up. So it's just linear. So I'm on primary and secondary, okay. So more there. Let's look at this real quick. Before I add, I don't want to throw much timing at it on the map itself, because right now I'm blending between two timing maps. So I have table number 2 here. This is at this is high ethanol basically, and let's go to logging real quick. Let's go to tune. So right here we got 17 degrees. That ain't shit. Just not a whole lot there. So go to timing here. I want to look at the log. This is where I'm at. So I'm in a 19 to 20 cell. And I'm getting what? I'm getting 17.6. So I have some correction. That correction is probably due to the intake air temp. Tab. Just have tune. Okay, well, I can go over here and I can check my ignition trims. Type in IGN for ignition and see what I have here. So base 17.7, the table is 16.1. Oh yeah, okay. And that was my point. That's the point I wanted to make actually. So I have one table saying I should have 19, right? But that's it. That's it. Based on the slope. Here's number 1. Number 1 table says we should be at 15, 16-ish. And then 2 says 19. Well, that depends on my blend ratio here. So I have this blend ratio. Right here. So 40%. So what it's saying is I only got 40% of my timing from the secondary table, and then I have all of them on the primary. So how do I say that? So if I average those two tables, or this is probably way of saying this. So 2 is I'm on the secondary table. 1 is I'm on the primary table. So if this was 1.5, I am splitting the difference in the two tables. Here I'm at 40% of the difference between the two tables. So I got to think about that. Now, that means I still have a big jump in timing as the ethanol goes up, but I don't need a whole lot, honestly, above this. I want a bulk of the timing adjustment to already happen by 50-60% in this range. So I'm actually going to bump this up just a little bit, because I want a little more of that secondary table timing. Or that's like 1.5. 40% ethanol is a good boost. It's a good bump, and so I want more of it. The other thing I can do as well, if I wanted, was make this based on another parameter, be it I can do basically anything really, coolant temp, something like that if I wanted to. Alright, so now I added a smidge more at 40%, and there we go. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give me a little more timing in that same region based on my ethanol. It's going to actually do it more across the entire board. It's going to bias me more towards that second table. However, even if this was 80% ethanol, 19 is not very much. You know, 100%. 19 is not very much right there. So I'm going to bump that up. You see how fast it drops? So I'm going to add some over 6. Where's that value? 19. Add a lot more here. Like that. Alright, so I'm adding a ramp to the timing. Add some more timing to it. So I want it to be a little more aggressive up top here. Okay. So the question is now, is power going to go up? I added timing to the second map that it's blending into, and I added more bias towards the second map. So power should go up top here if that timing is needed. If it's already got too much timing on it, power's not going to go up, or knock's going to have it. But at 40%, and where I'm pushing it now, the octane bump is already pretty significant. That the chance of it actually knocking is relatively low, but it could still happen if you go too aggressive. Not add much timing to it. That's a very small change. I only added about half a degree to a degree on it. That's it. But it pulled timing based on what it perceived as knock. Now, is that actually knock? I don't know yet. I gotta look at these values and see what happens. So it pulled 7 degrees of timing out of cylinder 4. Cylinder 4 is 184. That's not the knock threshold. Why would they do that? I don't see any knock threshold. That's odd. Never exceed the knock threshold. Why you pull timing? I exceeded it right here. Right there. Right before red line, there was a little noise over the threshold, and it didn't pull timing. Well, that's a new one. try that. At a faster rate to see it, huh? I guess it's possible. That is still a pretty fast rate, so it must have just cleared it right here by a tiny bit. But what's crazy is that it keeps pulling timing and pulling more and more and more, even though it shows the threshold is that the level is dropped. That interesting. Well, man, that is pretty fast responding and pretty sensitive. I could bump that up. ethanol and about 17 pounds of boost and cylinder 4 knocks. No, that is just the threshold is too close. And yeah, unless this thing was 10-to-1 compression, like that's just not going to happen. You're not going to get that much knock on 40% ethanol. +4's loud. So, dude.
Hey, do you happen to have or know somebody who has a height gauge for like measuring STI 6-speed stuff?
I do.
You do know or have?
I do has. Yeah.
He has? Can I borrow when I'm building Libby's?
Do you have a surface plate for it? What do you use for your measurements?
I'm sorry?
What are you measuring it from? Do you have a surface plate or what?
The big old plate.
So you go from the big plate to a gear, basically is how they had measured?
I don't need to measure the gears, I don't think, because it's a full assembly that they're sending you. Because like for choosing the right place for shifting, you select the rods, but they send you the rods for that sequential kit. So I'm assuming I don't have to do any sort of measurements between the gears and the shift forks and everything. I'm assuming that's all chill because they're giving you a plate, they're giving you gears, they're giving you everything that's fully assembled. Right. They're giving you forks,
so what do you got to measure?
Rods. For the back, the shims for the back plate between the oil pump housing that sits there and the bearings and all the retainers and all that kind of stuff. So measure those. Measure for the right pinion shim and things like that. I just figured that I would want to do that kind of stuff on such an expensive build.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any chances of something not being perfect or as close to as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I have one. You know, they're expensive.
Yeah.
It's a Mitutoyo digital and all
That'd be
that.
sweet.
So, yeah. I can't guarantee I'll remember.
I'm sorry?
I can't guarantee I'll remember, so you got to remind me later on when you got to do that.
I mean, I could start putting it together. Well, I have a case I need to take apart. Igor's, I guess, old stuff. Rip the guts out of that, and I guess I'm using his stuff. Is there going to be any difference between the diffs between the ear and mics?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Because Super didn't change shit on those things. I don't
Not a
think.
whole lot.
They changed what? They changed 2 of the gear ratios, and it was only a tiny change. But I don't think they changed any of the diffs. I think they've stayed the helical torsion, whatever style diff, since 08 or 07 even. So I don't think there's any differences there. Cool.
Not that it would matter, as long as the final drive's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have better diffs if there's better diffs, you know,
Sure.
ones that control traction better or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, those don't have torque vectoring, right? So, yeah, I don't see there being any difference.
Okay. Cool.
If anything, the 15 probably be worse. They probably went looser on the newer ones than
Always
tighter.
make it. They always shortcuts.
The fucking sequential. Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited though. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to fuck with the EMtron because I'll have the gear control in it. So when we grab the shifter with the strain gauge, the EMtron will cut, and I can even set up rev matching on it too.
Nice.
You know, not that you rev match a sequential much, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like I can still have it do it. So like if he does clutch in and it goes to the gear, if it sees the clutches in and sees the gear he's in, it'll put RPM to where that is. It'll do its best to do it. So it has the ability to do that, which is pretty sweet.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I haven't done it before on a sequential with the EMtron, so it'll be a bit of a learning experience, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
That's cool.
Yeah. So right now I'm just adjusting this car. I'm adjusting the cylinder 4 threshold cylinder gain table. Now I don't know if this table is up or down. Am I adding to the threshold or am I adding to the noise? I don't know. So I'm going to find out.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get back to it.
All right, buddy. Have fun.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. All right. So that makes it more sensitive. Going to 0 makes it more sensitive. So I want to add about 12%. Cylinder 4. Cylinder 4 is noisier. It's closer to the knock sensor.
Said he talked to you about that he's getting a base map or something from you on. What do you want me to charge him for that, or did he already pay you?
Is that the one that's here?
Yeah, they're picking it up, so I'm going to print him out an invoice because AutoNation's going to be paying it. So I just need to know what to add on that invoice, or if he's gonna do it directly with you. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know. What's the status of it? I don't know the status of it.
Tanner just replaced the cam gear and an ABCS solenoid because it wasn't working. Put a stock intake on it. It has a catted downpipe, but it's popping a 420 code.
And then this is access port or non-access port?
He bought an access port.
Is that the serial number you gave me?
Yeah.
Why'd you say his friend?
I didn't know who it was. It is his friend. He sold the car to his friend, I believe.
Oh.
But I don't know, considering it's Mike, I don't know if it's actually his friend or if he just said that when he called. Because he called yesterday and said, hey, I'm getting a base map put on this car for this customer, but I need to buy them an access port so Dom can make a base map. Can you overnight me an access port? So I overnighted him an access port. And then they brought the car in this morning and said, put the intake on, fix whatever else you can see on it. Tanner found that it had a non-responsive ABCS exhaust cam gear, so we replaced the solenoid and the cam gear, and
It works now?
What?
It works now?
Yeah, it works now.
What intake was on before? Wasn't it something stupid?
The what?
The intake that was on it before, wasn't it
Yeah,
something
just some
stupid?
dumb aftermarket shit intake from what I believe.
Right. I seem to recall looking at a picture of it, looked pretty bad. Okay.
You got a hole in your shirt.
Oh both sides even.
Basically a tank top at this point.
It's almost. It keeps me from pitting out. If there's no cotton to absorb the sweat, then I can't pit out. Right?
It's fence. You just drip out now.
Yeah, it just drip out. Yeah, so a couple $100.
That's what I was
Typical
thinking.
base man price.
Yeah. Cool.
Did that guy yesterday ever hit you up for a tune?
Yeah. He's not doing the sequential now. He's doing the sequential later. He hasn't even started that. But yeah, I'll definitely do some pictures / videos of the sequential when that happens, for sure. Was I working on? Oh yeah, this. On the same O2 sensor bank, so they're the same AFR, well, same bank, almost the exact same temperature, colder than 3 and 4, 2 are richer and hotter. Two are the same timing. So they're the same timing, they're the same EGT. Okay. And then here, 3 is the same timing, 4 is less. So is that difference strictly from the extra fuel I put on cylinder 4? Oops. Cylinder 1's got extra fuel up there. Cylinder 2 doesn't. That's what I had to do to make it closer to match. I'm going to have less effect at idle though on these. I'm going to reduce what I did. EGT at idle is not as important as stability, so do less adjustment at idle. So 3 and 4. 4's got 3% added to it. Or 4 does. 3 does not have anything added to it. 4's still loud. 4 has more fuel and less timing, and it's still the loudest cylinder. Weird. Now, what does that mean? Well, 4 is right next to the knock sensor. So 4 is going to put out the most amount of noise, plain and simple. 4 is going to be the loudest one to the knock sensor. Doesn't mean it's knocking more, doesn't mean anything like that. It means that here, level gain. So cylinder 4 should have a little less noise, or a little less gain on it because it is so close. Cylinder 2 should have a little less, but not as much. Cylinder 3 should be a little bit too, something like that. Cylinder 1's the furthest. You can even raise cylinder 1. Now cylinder 3 is actually closer to the sensor, but the block is split. The block is split, and sound doesn't travel through a gap with silicone on it as well as it does on like cylinder 2. It's the block, it's, you know, distance wise it's actually further, but it's still one continuous block, so there isn't many splits, and so the noise carries better to the knock sensor there. Where cylinder 3 it doesn't, because it's got the split between the two blocks. Even though they're bolted together, there's still silicone seal in there, there's still a slight air gap. You're going to have less sound transferred through that junction. I mean, heck, in the ocean, in water, if the water has different temperatures, waves will bounce off of the change in density between the hot and the cold waters, enough to make sound waves reflect. So you can imagine if the change in density I have from aluminum to silicone back to aluminum again, I'm going to have some reflection off of that. Now, the amount that I put on this, that's a guess. Honestly, it's totally a guess. If I look now, I might have pulled too much off cylinder 4 at idle, or cylinder 4 is just quiet right now. It's a little quieter than cylinder 3, which is still pretty loud. Cylinder 1 is the loudest, so I can tweak these a smidge to try and get them a little more balanced at idle. But when they start making more noise, that's going to make a difference too. calculation you can make to determine what your frequency is going to be. There it is. That's what I was looking for. I knew it existed. So we will do, the piston is a 3.927 times pi. Damn it. Times pi. It's 4.337. I did inches, that's why. It's 99.75 millimeters. So 5,700. They're saying that it should be around 5,700 as the middle of it. Perfect. That change my levels really went a lot.
Can I get you to move your car?
What direction?
You push 2 cars in.
Okay. Alright, so 4 has less timing and more fuel and makes a lot more noise. That's not annoying or anything. Still the hottest CGT wise, but sometimes lower timing will do that. Add more fuel to 4 and just see what happens. Oh, that's too much. Just gonna double the fuel I added to 4. That's a lot of fuel added to that cylinder, but I just want to see what it does. See if it quiets it down at all, or if it's still exactly the same. If it's exactly the same, then it ain't knock. EGT should drop in theory. I got more fuel absorbing the heat. Out of control again. Throttle's going crazy on that. It's not supposed to though. It's supposed to be very dull. What's going on here? day's over. I gotta call it quits. Hey, Connor. How well do you think it would work on a rotary? I mean, I think it's one of the best systems out there. It's definitely not my favorite in terms of drive-by-wire control. It seems to need more effort to control the throttle blade than other systems I've used. This one definitely is more difficult than that, but with everything else, I prefer this system. Rotaries, on the other hand, don't need shit though. Like, we're putting Tier 1's putting a Link Monsoon on a rotary, and it's gonna have CAN and a screen and fuel pressures inputs and other inputs into it, oil pressure and temperatures and all that, because rotaries don't have shit. You know what I mean? They don't have much. So, it doesn't take much to run one. And, 4 coil packs, 4 injectors, split timing, stage injection, like, that's really it. I mean, that list is very long. And by the way, thank you. You don't got to pay me to answer questions, but I totally appreciate it. It definitely helps the channel for sure. Thank you very much. The list of benefits of an EMtron over a Haltech is longer than I can tell you. I mean, to have a Haltech have the same amount of inputs and outputs as an EMtron would cost more than an EMtron. Like, you have to buy expansion modules, galore, and then those expansion modules only operate via CAN, and they don't do half the shit that every other system does with their expansion modules. It is definitely inferior. Now, if you look at the R5, the really expensive Haltech, now we're talking something that compares. And that one's cool because it's got a PDM built into it, there's other stuff like that. That Haltech, I don't think is better than EMtron still, but it's definitely competing at that point. But in the realm of EMtron versus Haltech, the EMtron is vastly superior in almost every way, with the exception, I would say, of the drive-wire control. This one, for some reason, maybe it's just me, but every single Subaru I've tuned has to have drastically different PID controls for the drive-by-wire throttle body, and that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me when every other system I use doesn't even give you control of that. They have it built in, and they all track fucking perfectly. This one, if I go to the drive-by-wire tab, model, where's it at? Right here. You'll see there's target and then there's actual, and they don't match. And right here, now all of a sudden this driver starts acting all fucky again. You go here, and it goes outside of the target dramatically. And I didn't even touch the drive-by-wire PID today. Like, I've left that alone, and now all of a sudden it runs shitty again. And all the fucking EMtrons do this. I don't know why. I don't understand what it is. Look at that. The target was this purple line, but for some reason it goes bam all the way to this green line. So this idle oscillation that we have right now is largely because this drive-by-wire throttle body is not matching the target that it's supposed to be. And I'm telling you, I've used the settings EMtron told me to use. I've used settings that I fucking made up. I spent hours, fucking hours on this shit. I made 3D tables to control the servo position here, just trying to, fuck man, I can't even tell how much time I spent on this, and yet still it doesn't fucking work right. It's really shitty. I've tried to be like clever with coming up with new ways of doing it to see if it would help. Okay, I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna change it. I'm going to put what EMtron wants me to run in there. Do I have it in here? Yeah, this here. So they want this table to be that. I think this one's close. Do that. Okay. Okay, so this is what they want me to run on it. And what'll happen is, you'll see it doesn't track. Like the target's going up and down, but the throttle blade's not. And then sometimes it'll be the other way. The throttle blade will start going a different direction. I'm gonna give it a rev. Hey, look, you see them at the bottom there, hunting around each other. The target is moving, and the blade is not meeting that target. Look at it. See the green and the purple just tracking around. Oh, it's getting worse now. Sweet. Very good. The throttle's way too active. Grab it. See these gaps in here. Why do they, dude? I think because it's easy and because people don't know. Like, I honestly blame it on ignorance. And also because it's cheaper and people see that initial price tag and they go, oh, it's so much cheaper. But what's really sad is that their CAN system is inferior by far and doesn't even work on a lot of the newer stuff. It's really a shame. Here you go. There's target versus actual on the screen there. It's not the same, but anyways, I'm not gonna keep doing. I gotta finish this up here for now. Let me save this. Save that as the other file name, which it is already. Anyways, so I don't really know. Honestly, I think it's maybe ignorance. I mean, it's capable, right? Like, it's absolutely capable. The twin turbo Nova that we did with the LS3 in it, or not LS3, the D-stroke 6-liter, that's got a Holotech in it, but we had to add a bunch of expansion modules to do the stuff we wanted to do with it. I mean, but it's a good system. You know, it's got good hardware. It's a good middle of the road system. You know, but honestly, bang for the buck, nothing beats a Link. Nothing beats a Link. Bang for the buck. They by far, for the money, the Link has the most features by far. Next bang for the buck would probably be, you know, the Haltech, if that's the budget you're in, the Haltech budget. But if you need the features of the EMtron, then you know you need the EMtron. My phone is hot as fuck. Holy shit, it's hot. Okay, try to back one off. So, in general, anyone else uses Haltech ECUs? I've used Haltech on stuff. I just don't feel that they're worth it financially, unless you just need a couple features. Their setup is okay. The interface is decent. The new interface, the Nexus interface, is improved, and that's because Haltech bought Adaptronic, and now Andy Wyatt works for Haltech. And so Andy Wyatt has made the Haltech stuff better. Some of the stuff I think is more complicated. They probably shouldn't have done it what they did, but for the most part, the logic is improved. Andy brought a bunch of the improved logic with him to Haltech, and so the new Haltech Nexus software, and you can upgrade the old Haltechs, the regular Elite 2500s. You can upgrade those to Nexus hardware, and it improves them, and it is better. But you're not changing the hardware, right? You're just changing the way the hardware is operating. So the new Nexus stuff is really good. It's better than the Elite stuff that's on the NSP, whatever it's called, ESP software. So if you have an ESP or an Elite and it's on ESP firmware, do a Nexus firmware update. You're going to do a lot of shit, though, tune-wise to it, because it's not going to be the same. But definitely the Nexus stuff is better for sure. So that's good. But again, you're still limited at your inputs. Now the R5 has got tons of inputs, tons of outputs. It's got PDM stuff in it. That's pretty awesome. It's expensive as shit, but it's really cool. And it's a very potent and powerful system. But their CAN bus stuff is still lacking. They don't have the logic figured out for the VAs. They don't have the logic figured out. They only have like part of it figured out. They don't have SI drive being functional. They don't have these cow slots like the EMtron has, all that shit. Like the EMtron, if this is SI drive, I could change the mapping based on SI drive position. So like there's lots of features that you can do with the EMtron you can't do with the Haltech. But that being said, like I said, I do like the Haltech. It does have good stuff. I just think the EMtron has more features. But you pay for them. So like the EMtron though, it's got onboard Lambda, two onboard Lambda controllers. Haltech, 0. You got to buy the external Haltech Lambda controller. You want to get 2 of them, another $600, right? Now you've just add the Lambda onto the cost of the Haltech at $2,500, for example, and you're already now at EMtron price, and you have less inputs. Now, if I want more inputs, or as many inputs as the EMtron, I got to add another module. The expansion module is $400. Now I'm over the price of the EMtron, and I have less features than the EMtron. So like, it doesn't make sense. The Elite 2500 is too fucking expensive and too limited compared to an EMtron. And EMtron just raised their prices, like fucking 30% or something back in March because of inflation and everything. And so back then, before they raised the prices, they exceptionally were stumping on Haltech because it was almost the same price as Haltech and it was way more stuff. So yeah, it's just better, yeah. But per dollar, the Link is better than the Haltech per dollar. You get a Fury for way less than $2,500, and it's got onboard Lambda controller. It's got a bunch of inputs and outputs. It's got a bunch of stuff. It doesn't have pressure ratio tuning though, so if you need that, then you're SOL. But for rotary, you need shit, man. Monsoon on rotary with a fucking nice dash display, good to go. Good to go. So, all right. I'm gonna end the stream now. It's time for me to go home. It's 5:50. The guys all want to leave here, and I'm keeping them late. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you, Connor, for the donations. I appreciate it greatly. I hope that I answered your question adequately. how do I feel about open source tuning over AP nowadays? I don't. I still don't do it. Won't do it. Don't plan on doing it. Just not happening. I hate open source tuning. There's no one to hold accountable. There's no security. There's no safety. Like if you fail a flash on open source, the ECU is bricked. You fail a flash on the access port, you just do it again. Open source doesn't use the checksums correctly. Doesn't do a lot of shit correctly. There's no security for a tuner. Like for me, I can't tune the car and then have my tune be locked. None of that shit, right? Like I can on the access port. Whereas open source, someone get in there, pull my tune off, copy it, give it to their buddy, give it to their buddy. Their shit blows up because it doesn't work for their car. And they're bashing me because, oh, your tune blew up my friend's car. Like I didn't tune your friend's car. Yeah, but your map was on it. You know, like I've had that. I've lived that. Like 2009, 2010, it happened a bunch of times. A tuner on the other side of the state was taking my tunes off of cars and putting them on other people's cars. And they were blowing up, and then he was telling them, well, it was Dominic's tune that blew your car up. And it's fucking bullshit. So no, I don't open source ever unless I absolutely have to. So like for JDM cars, I have to open source because export doesn't work for JDM cars. But yeah, no open source tuning. All right, I think that's it. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Again, thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you guys in the next one. I'm working on a bunch of stuff right now. A lot of stuff right now. I have tuning projects. But I'm working on stuff with Wishbone on Subaru, custom knuckles, custom arms, electric rack conversion, the dry sump, a bunch of stuff's going on. So I'm trying to juggle it all, but it's definitely hard to do. But I do try and keep you guys updated on what's going on. So anyways, thanks. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.